You often hear that if you exercise, you need to take dietary supplements, and this raises the main question, which supplements should I take, when should I take them, or how much exercise is enough? For example, if I go out for a half-hour walk each day, does that count as exercise, and do I need to take supplements? If I go to the gym every day, does that count? So, what is the reality? If a person typically walks about 10,000 steps a day and doesn't do any specific additional exercises, they generally don't need any particular supplements. Of course, if someone isn't able to eat properly, then vitamins, minerals, and sometimes other supplements can be taken, but this isn't exclusively related to whether or not you exercise. An average person may or may not need them, but if someone goes to the gym more than 3 times a week, if they are training progressively with weights, even if they don't go to the gym and instead work out outside or at home, but still train with weights progressively and are trying to gain muscle or lose weight while preserving muscle mass. In such cases, typically, these people need supplements. The main supplement that someone who works out might take is protein. Of course, getting protein from food is always the top priority. However, there is one problem here. Let's say a person weighs 70 kilos, exercises regularly and intensely, and wants to build muscle. Such a person needs about 125 grams of protein every day, and to get this amount of protein, it would mean eating about 20 eggs or half a kilo of chicken or half a kilo of beef or half a kilo of fish. Most people can't eat like this every day, and that's why the need for protein or protein powder arises, meaning the protein that people take at the gym, which is very popular. Then the following questions come up. How much protein should I take? How often should I take it? And so on. Generally, the standard routine is 25 to 30 grams of protein once a day, which is especially best for those who are lacking in protein intake, of course. If you've eaten protein in the last 3 to 4 hours, then taking protein at that moment is not necessary and is not recommended. It's better to take protein at a time of day when you haven't eaten protein within a 3 to 4 hour interval. Because there is such a concept as the metabolic window, which is half true and half not. The idea of the metabolic window was that if you don't drink protein soon after your workout, muscle growth won't happen. In reality, it's not exactly like that. The body actually has a fairly large window. For the body to receive proteins for muscle growth or for muscle maintenance, this window is quite wide, so it's possible to take protein after your workout. In some cases, it's actually better for a person to take certain proteins before going to bed, and here the distinction is very simple, since there is a clear line. There are whey proteins, or whey and casein, and basically these two are the main types of proteins. These whey proteins, or serum proteins, are the best for muscle growth. They are easily absorbed, have a fast effect, and are the most practical for building muscle. That's why, after a workout, if a person takes whey proteins, it's ideal. Casein, on the other hand, is better in the evening because it is absorbed slowly, provides stable energy throughout the night, and also helps with appetite control. So in summary, casein is more for appetite control, while whey proteins are more for muscle growth. When it comes to muscle growth, there are often questions about whether to take protein on rest days as well. If you're not working out, or if you only take protein during workouts, it depends on your diet. If you're getting enough protein throughout the day, then there's no need to take extra protein on rest days. But if you're not getting enough protein, then it's advisable. The second most important supplement is vitamin D, or D vitamin, which you can take as a supplement during your training regimen. Vitamin D is important not only for athletes, but for people in general, simply because most people do not get enough vitamin D in their daily lives, and vitamin D deficiency is one of the most common deficiencies. However, it's not a good idea to take vitamin D blindly. It's necessary to do a vitamin D test, and if you are deficient, if it's below 30, especially, from 30 to 50, or even up to 70 is better, but if it's below 30, it's considered significant and a deficiency. In such cases, taking vitamin D is important and makes sense at doses from 1,000 to 2,000 international units per day, or even higher if possible, but higher doses should only be taken under a doctor's supervision. However, these are the safest dosages. The range for vitamin D is from 1,000 to 2,000. Vitamin D is essential for muscles. It is necessary for the functioning of bones and for bone strength. Accordingly, vitamin D plays a major role, and its deficiency causes muscle pain. It also causes weakness, and a person cannot exercise if there is a vitamin D deficiency. The third vitamin and supplement I would mention is vitamin C. Vitamin C is a bit more nuanced here, because if a person eats very healthily and consumes large amounts of fruits and vegetables, then additional vitamin C is not necessary. However, most people do not have such a diet, and here it is important to note that exercise is a stress for the body. It is a metabolic stress, and during exercise, oxidants are produced, which is a stress for the body. And vitamin C is a powerful antioxidant, so you may also know that for a few hours after exercise, immunity is weakened, because this is a strong oxidative stress for the body. That's why professional athletes often catch colds more easily. Those who train very intensively, more than ordinary people, experience this window of weakened immunity. This is a weak point, and that's why they often tell you to cover up, so you don't catch a cold, and why, for example, football players sit down right away after a match. But we can partially deal with or close this window by taking vitamin C, but not completely, because this oxidative stress that happens to the body after exercise is only partially helped by vitamin C. That's why about 200 milligrams per day is considered safe, especially for some athletes who train very intensively. It can be more, but for most people, about 200 milligrams per day is enough. More than 1000 milligrams per day is not recommended. The fourth supplement you should take is omega-3. Omega-3 is not something you take and immediately feel stronger that same day. It's not that kind of supplement, but it does help with heart health and helps reduce inflammation in the body. It helps with overall recovery. That's its main advantage. If a person eats fish and gets fish oil 2 times a week, then they don't need additional omega-3. But if they can't manage that, then it's recommended. Next are electrolytes. Electrolyte powders are available for sale, as are sports powders. Of course, you can also get electrolytes from fruits and vegetables, or even from juices. Sometimes people need electrolytes, especially athletes and those who train very intensively, because through sweat they lose water and minerals, and these minerals need to be replenished. Also, for those who train very intensively, we can say that they need carbohydrates as well, or carbohydrates close to the time of exercise, which act directly as fuel. You've probably seen athletes like tennis players eating bananas, for example, because it's a quick carbohydrate, quick energy, and it's useful during exercise. The body needs energy, especially if you are training intensively. And finally, one of the most well-studied and useful supplements is creatine, especially for people who do strength training. It provides the muscles with a quick supply of energy, and if you want to do more repetitions, creatine helps with that. Over time, it helps improve intensity and progress. Creatine helps you with this. However, creatine does not directly increase muscle size, but it helps indirectly and supports muscle progress. People usually take 3 to 5 grams every day, but it's not strictly necessary. For example, during the loading phase or exactly before or after a workout, the body will use it anyway. But there is one nuance. Creatine retains water in the muscles, and because of this increase in water, the muscles appear more swollen. And a person gets the feeling that their muscles have grown, but usually this is just water and not actual muscle gain, and not protein and not pure muscle. So you shouldn't have overly high expectations. Of course, that's what I wanted to say. Thank you for listening. Thank you for your interest. If you like my videos, please like them. And if you enjoy my channel, please subscribe. Thanks again. See you.